Hey everybody, Kennis Russell here. Hope you're doing great today. I'm taking a look at a couple Fender guitars that I think are fake that have been sent to me. And I've done a series of videos on my channel of fake guitars and fake stuff, and it seems like they do pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and keep up the work on this and make some more of these fake Fender guitars. So today I'm looking at a guitar that actually, to be honest with you, I wasn't even 100% sure about when I first was sent this guitar. This is it right here. Let me just kind of show it to you, and then we'll talk about it. This guy Kane says, "Hey, take a look at my guitar. Somebody gave this to me last year, and so I don't know if it's real or not." And the basic story basically of somebody not knowing if their guitar is a real Fender guitar or not. So just to recap, to make sure we're on the same page as far as what do I mean by real, what do I mean by not real, all that kind of thing. When I say real Fender, I mean like that it came with a Fender logo from a Fender company. So if it's a Squire guitar that has had the logo rubbed off on it and then somebody put Fender on it, that is considered a counterfeit Fender guitar. So sometimes I hear people in the comments will say, how can a guitar be fake? It's either a guitar or it's not. What I'm saying by that is it's a counterfeit guitar. It's somebody trying to pass off a legitimate like Fender guitar or a cheap guitar, or I say a non-Fender branded guitar, we'll put it that way, as a Fender branded guitar. In the same way, if you were to take a Fender guitar, rub off the logo and put Squire on it, it also would be a fake Squire guitar, if that makes sense. So let's look at this guitar here, a little bit closer detail, and let me know what you think as well here. So I'm going to just kind of scroll through the pictures that we have on this, and we'll just take a look. So far, I'm actually, just at a glance, I'm not too concerned about it. It actually looks like a really nice playing guitar. It's a double humbucker guitar, so two humbuckers here, which is kind of rare for a Fender guitar. And it also, it also has two knobs on it. So it looks like a three-way switch, but it has two knobs here. So far, nothing is saying this isn't Fender. Looking at the body, it has these tuners here. I mean, not tuners. I always say that wrong. The saddles here, my monkey brain always switches that up. Has these saddles here. These look like import saddles, but let's keep moving along. And here's the shot of the neck. This one actually has some decent pictures in it. So we've got some pictures here. So here's the things that are kind of concerning to me. As I'm looking at this, I don't see any serial number. Now, in our conversation that I had, I asked if there was a serial number on here, and he said that there was not. So that is kind of telling to me that there's no serial number with this guitar. Also, looking at this right here, this surround for the truss rod looks like plastic surround, which is fine, but that's what Mexican guitars will do, like Fender Mexican guitars. So possibly could be Fender Mexican, but that tells me right off the bat that it is definitely not an American-made Fender guitar. And then the fret ends here look great. Like, this actually looks, well, look okay, I should say. This actually looks like a pretty decent playing guitar. The problem that I had with this, as I was trying to research it, I searched on Reverb, not like for hours, but I was probably on Reverb and the Google and the eBay for probably, I'm going to say, a good 20 minutes trying to find a similar Fender guitar, and I could not come up with one. So I did see a bunch of Squires that were very similar to this, that were not, that were the HH guitars, and they were on there. So another thing that is not a red flag, this actually makes me think that it is some sort of Fender, is these dots look like they are in the right place. You'll notice that on a lot of import guitars, these dots will line up with this string. So if I were to somehow take this and scoot it over right there, take this and scoot it over right there. So this tells me that it is not, it's not your typical Squire done. So I wasn't really sure what the deal is with this guitar. But the big thing to me that I was like, this does not seem right here, is this logo right here that just, it's cracked all the way through here. And it's not just cracked in a way that, an old guitar would crack. Now, first of all, like, there's not a whole, the HH guitar with the two knobs or whatever, that would be, if it is an older guitar, it would be a modified guitar. They weren't, as far as I know, that seems like more of a current era thing that people are doing to Stratocasters. But I have put on these waterslide decals before, and these are very, very easy to rip. So what I think someone has done here is they have tried to put on this logo and it ripped. And you can see here, like, I'm going to really zoom in here. You can see that this is not just a crack in the finish of the water slide. It is actually moved. So like this line, if it was just something that was over time, maybe it got, I don't know, left out in a guitar in the heat or in the cold or something like that, and then something happened to the finish on this and it cracked, you would just have a crack coming through here. But you can see, if you follow this line, this is not the same line like it should. If it was just a crack in the finish, this black line would be lower. So I think that it happened on this, and you can see it here too with this in. This should be like right there, but it's not. It's up a little bit, and then it's a little bit blurrier here. They did a pretty good job with this one. This seems like it lines up well on the F, somewhat well, but in here, even though it's blurry, you can see that this is shifted down. So that being said, all of that, I think what happened is whenever somebody was putting this guitar together and they were making it, putting this Fender logo on there, that water slide logo, as you're putting it on there, I mean, they're super, super, super delicate. And what happens is they just rip super easy. And I think that probably somebody put it on and you kind of slide it around to where you want it. And if you're not careful and you're sliding it around, it's very easy to crumple them. And then when you try to pull it apart, it just rips. I mean, it's like literally take a piece of tissue paper, wet it, and then that's kind of how fragile these things are. So it would not surprise me if somebody that has not done this before, if they were putting this together, that they would have, looks like 1, 2, 3, at least 4 pieces to this that is not right with this. So that the logo itself was the biggest thing to me that said this is not a Fender American Stratocaster, and because of this, it makes me even think that it's not a Mexican. Now, I'm not really sure. Other things on here, it's got Clusen tuners. These look legit, but I also, because there's not a serial number on the front of the guitar, I don't know what year it was supposed to be made. There should be a serial number on the back here, which is also a huge, huge flag that if you have a Fender guitar, there should be a serial number somewhere. Back to these saddles. These do look like import saddles that you would just find on a cheap Stratocaster. No big deal. I'm not saying they're bad. It's not. There's a few things on here that just don't seem legit. And here you can kind of see even better, see this D, how that D is just, this whole thing, it's almost like you just took it and shifted the whole thing up and to the top right a little bit. So anyway, there's that guitar. I don't think, let me scroll through the pictures a couple more times. I don't think that this guitar is an American made. It actually looks like it's probably a really cool guitar, a nice playing guitar. Might even have upgraded pickups. but I think that this has probably been some sort of Squire or import guitar that someone has taken and tried to make it like it's an American made. So I feel bad for this guy that sent it to me. He said that somebody gave it to like a friend of him. I think it was a friend of his dad, or somebody gave it to him for Christmas last year. And so, you know, man, I feel bad for you that it's not, to me, real. Again, I'm not like the end all be all person with this, but if you want to take it to another shop, have somebody look at it, that would be I'd recommend that. But without a serial number, it's really hard to verify if it is legit. All right, let's move along to our next contestant here. This one also was one that at first kind of confused me here. So this guy Kenneth says, "Hey Kennis, been offered this guitar for $600. What do you think? Is it a real Fender? I'm not sure, even though it looks really nice." So let's pull up the pictures down here. I agree, this guitar looks really nice. And at first, a lot of times people will send me pictures of guitars, and in like 10 seconds I can determine that it's a real Fender Stratocaster. And I was about to say in 10 seconds, yeah, this is real, until I looked up the serial number. So let's just scroll through here. There's not as many pictures of this one. Headstock looks fantastic. The logo on there, just perfect. I mean, this right here looks like a legitimate guitar. Now, down here, at first glance, still the same thing. Same thing here. Nothing indicating to me that this is not real. Back of the headstock, so far, no serial number, kind of like the last one. So I'm looking for that. Looks like there's a nick here of some sort, but that's no big deal. And then our final picture here is this serial number. So I was getting ready to say, yeah, looks legit, no big deal. And then I decided to type in this serial number into the Guitar Data Project. And let me see if I can resize this to make it a little bit easier to see. Now on the actual picture here, I go back to it. On the actual picture, I can't tell 100% if this is an L or a 1 right here. I think it's an L, but it doesn't matter because either one that I put into Guitar Data Project shows up as, I'll just show you. So L49747, L49747. So let's go back to Guitar Data Project, and here we go. I'm going to type in L. So if I type in L49747, this is what I get. Your guitar was made in the, let me zoom up a little bit. Oh, where'd it go? Your guitar was made in the Fuller plant in 1964. Okay. Now let's go back and we'll just type in 1 here and see what 1 gives us. Same, year range almost, 1966 to 1967. So either way, we're looking at a 60s Fender guitar. And then let's see what else. Let's go back to 1966, 1967. And then I think the last one was, where'd it go? I'm trying to remember what it said in the year. 64. So 64, 66, 67. And then we can even try this without the first digit just to see. Maybe that's, and we're looking at a 60 to 61. So that's kind of the range that we're looking at in this guitar to see if it's legit in any way whatsoever. So let's look at reverb.com and we'll see what's going on here. If this is if this guitar is something in the similar, if it looks the same as other guitars selling. So let's, sorry guys, let me resize this a little bit so it's easier to see. And let's just type in here, let's go with 64, 1964, Stratocaster, yeah. All right, and here we go. Here is a bunch that we can start to kind of see some reissues here. So these, it looks like some reissues here, even a reissue here. Let's look at a reissue. I think this is a reissue. Comparing this to the other ones, let me find a headstock shot of this. If they have it, they don't even have it. Come on, man, you got to get better shots than this. All right, let me just try to zoom my best to zoom in. It won't even let me do it, but I can tell right now from this picture that the truss rod is there's no truss rod cover, because on this guitar back in the 60s, you got to this guitar, the truss rod down here at the bottom and the base of the guitar itself. So right off the bat, I'm telling you that there's some, you know, red flags happening here. And the reason why I'm going through all this is just to show you how to do this. Because there's so many fakes on the market here, all around. Here's another reissue. It's going to go the same thing right there. The truss rod. Here's a closer picture. There's no truss rod hole here. Comparing this back to our pictures that we have down here, you can tell that this picture is even taken. I don't know if this is deliberate or not, but they didn't include the truss rod on there, where the truss rod is, but you can see it up here. You can see that definitely at the top. Somehow this is how you get to this guitar. Okay, this is a 1964 Fender Stratocaster, and let's see. Let's go into this. Yep. Wow. This looks like a really cool guitar. Yep. Man, I would love to play this guitar. Cool color too. Okay, just from that, $70,000. 64, $20,000. A 64, $17,000. A 64, $77,900. Almost $18,000. $18,500. $19,500. $19,500. Okay, now let's go back to this one here. $600 is what this person is asking for this. Even the reissues are not $600. The reissues are far more expensive than this. So right off the bat, this is one of those cases where something is too good to be true. It's too good to be true. That is in the used guitar world, 99 times out of 100, that is the case. That if something seems like, wow, man, I can't believe someone's selling this guitar for so cheap, chances are you're not going to be the one that's like, yes, I got the deal. This guy didn't know he was giving away a, $20,000 guitar for $600. You're probably the one getting ripped off in this scenario. So all of these things, and then I'm going to show you one more thing that was just the nail in the coffin on this. Back to the photos here. Take a look at these with the lineup, and this goes back to the previous one we looked at, the lineup of these dots. This dot, even though this is a blurry image, this dot lines up with that A string. This dot, I can't even hardly see the B string, but it lines up with that right there. So if we were to go back to reverb, if I can find it here, let's just pick any one of these right here. Let's see if we can find the dots on the guitar. There's a good shot of the neck. Also, by the way, this is how you sell a guitar online, especially if you're asking $20,000. You take pictures. You take lots of them. You take a ton of them, and you let people know that it's legit. Yeah, that's how you do it. All right, let me find the picture of the... Okay, this picture is not as good because it's not straight on, but you can see that these dots right here are inset a little bit. They're in the middle of the guitar a little bit more. You can see, like, it's not, from this angle, it's not even on the B string. This is barely touching the A string. Let me find a different guitar that might have better pictures. Let's just go back to this Lake Placid one. Looks like there's one at the front. All right. You can see these dots right here are skinnier. Man, there you go. There we go. There's our picture right there. Okay. I can't zoom in here, but you can see these dots are barely touching the A string, barely touching the B string right there, whereas on our guitar over here, they're on the A string and on the B string. American-made guitars and Mexican-made. My Mexican Strat, I probably could have just used this. Same thing. You can kind of see that these dots here, they're not like, this is kind of what they look like on a fake, or on a import, I should say, not fake. And so, but on a Fender made guitar where they're selling it, like Fender made the guitar, the dots are closer in, and then on an import, usually they are a little bit further out. So that was the nail in the coffin on this one. You know, with the no serial number, obviously being way overpriced for what it was could potentially worth. I messaged him back and just said, hey, looks like this is not a legitimate guitar. So, you know, it's interesting, make these fake videos and they do really well. And so it seems like people really like them, and it seems like YouTube likes the algorithm. But do me a favor and like the video and do all that kind of stuff in order to help support the channel, as well as, I don't know if you can see all this stuff behind me on my Fender Rhodes back here, but all this stuff I'm giving away on Patreon. Those are various pedals, mics, different things. And every month on my Patreon page, patreon.com/KennisRussell, I'm giving away, doing a raffle for all my patrons. And then if you win the raffle, you can choose anything on there. There's stuff ranging from like $30 to over $100, and you can pick. There's mostly stuff that was sent to me to do reviews of and that kind of thing. So take your pick on that, but you can go to patreon.com/KennisRussell and support me on Patreon and be a part of Patreon. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, that's probably the easiest way to do it. If you wanted to message me something or whatever the case is, that's probably the easiest way for me to communicate with everybody, on my Patreon page. Anyway, Kennis Russell out. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another video.